So two things happened today. One can be said to be good news, and the other could be said to be bad news. So the good news was that a friend of one of my users contacted me telling me that my user had told him how great my service was, and he actually offered to refer me to other people to generate word of mouth of my service. Now that was actually quite a welcome development because I wasn't really hearing much from this user. I tried to contact him on Facebook once in a while and he would actually get some benefits from my service, and I wanted to get just more insight into what he liked and what he didn't like. And he was always not very responsive, but yeah, I guess I just kept going on with the service. And I was just very surprised when his friend, who's also my friend, decided to reach out. And the point here is that when your user doesn't really act the way you want them to act, it doesn't mean that they're not liking your service. Perhaps they're just busy, or perhaps they're just not very communicative. What you have to really look for to determine whether your user actually likes your service or not is to focus on what they do in terms of actions that benefit you. So for instance, if your user pays for your service, it doesn't matter if they don't really respond to your questions or respond to your queries. You might be more of an approachable person. You might be the kind of person who likes to talk a lot. I guess I'm that kind of person. I like to talk to my users all the time to try to get their insights on things. And sometimes I can be overly communicative, and when they don't respond as often as I want them to, sometimes I can perceive that as just like a lack of interest in the service itself. But that couldn't be further from the truth, because based on the actions that this user has taken, it seems like he's actually engaged in the service, and very engaged with the service itself, to a point where he's actually telling other people how great the service is. And this person is now coming to me offering to share this service that I've created with my co-founder with his other friends, which is just the opposite of what I expected, honestly. Now the bad news is that someone who is very engaged with my service, someone who I thought would convert easily for my service, recently decided to not convert into a paid user after his 1 month trial. And that was surprising because he seemed to be the most engaged and the most at benefit user. He seemed to get a lot of benefits from the service. So I was pretty surprised when he decided not to convert. So this again just hammers in the point that it's not really what your users say or how they act towards you. It's how they act in relation to whatever you've built. If they're not engaged, if they're not checking in every single day, if that's the kind of app you've built, or if they're not just talking to you that often about maybe maybe just not giving feedback, but even that's not a good indicator. If they're not paying for your service, if they've decided they're not going to pay for it and they don't pay for it, that's an action that will show you the data you need. Of course, it's important to talk to your users, but don't count your chickens before they've hatched. No, that's not how you say it. Don't count your eggs before they've hatched. Don't think that just because a user is talking to you very often and giving you so many positive responses and just giving you so many kind words that they're actually going to convert into paid users. You'd be surprised just how quickly people flip when you start charging them for whatever you've built. And that's something you just have to get used to. This is not to say that you shouldn't be charging your users. You should definitely be charging your users, especially if you're providing value. Just know that when you charge, people will change. So that's just a takeaway that I want to leave you guys with for this video, and I hope you found this useful.